Okay, here's the first story. It's a cat story, or I guess a story about a cat. Once upon a time, there was a little cat. It was fuzzy, whiskers, it meowed, it purred. It was a cat, okay? And this cat had a couple of owners. They were a couple of old people, and, well, these really don't need to be old people. Usually the stories with kitty cats, the owners are usually old people. But, I'm sure there's young people out there that own kitty cats. So I gotta make the owners young people. Yeah, they were young, couple of young people. They owned a cat, big, hairy cat, nice kitty cat. Okay, so once upon a time there was this cat with a couple of young owners. Um, we'll call them Larry and Betty, I guess, because why not? And one day they went to the bank. And while they were there, these bank robbers showed. Well, before I get into that, they were the reason they went to the bank was to get a loan, and so they were talking to the loan officer, and that's when the bank robbers came in. Well, actually, I should say, well, they were trying to get a loan because they wanted to buy a car. And they were having an argument on the way there about what kind of car. And they brought their cat to the bank with them because, I don't know, cat stories never really have much of a story to them, and I don't know. So anyway, they go to the bank, they're trying to get a loan for a car, they have the cat with them because this is a story and I can do whatever I want with the story. So, they're in the bank with their cat, trying to get a loan for a car, and bank robbers show up. Well, before I get to the bank robbers, I suppose I should bring up that they were trying to get a loan on a 2007 Hummer. Why, I don't know, but hey, they decided they wanted to get a Hummer, Well, why get a Hummer? They were trying to get a Suburban. They were planning on having either more kids or more cats, whichever came first, or whichever worked out the best. And so that was when the bank robbers came in. Well, they were also, trying to decide whether they really needed a Suburban. Well, it wasn't even a Suburban, come to think of it. It was an old, what they were wanting to do was to buy a car. She had a car from before they got together and got married. He had a pickup truck, but it was older, and now it wasn't all that great. And they're young, they're wanting a new car, because they want two cars, and they're thinking about making the pickup more of a work rig. But then they're trying to decide, do we really need that other car? I mean, it's a junker pickup, but it still works well. So anyway, they were discussing their options to get the best interest and whatnot, and that's when the bank robbers came in. And so Larry and Betty naturally freaked out. Well, actually, they didn't even know there were bank robbers there because they were in the loan office in the bank. And the bank robbers usually don't go into the loan office. They were not trying to get a loan. They were trying to get money. So, without all the strings attached. And their cat had wandered out of the loan office. And, the bank robbers freaked out because, as everyone knows, bank robbers have a fear of, house cats. And, actually, come to think of it, it's not very widely known, but it is a fact. It's kind of like how elephants are afraid of mice and love peanuts, because everyone knows that. But that's a more well-known fact. But the fact that bank robbers are mortally terrified of house cats, well, that is, less known. And the bank robbers were scared out of the bank, and they ran screaming, but one of the tellers had pushed the silent alarm, and they were captured by the police. And it was all thanks to Larry and Betty's cat, who came out of the loan office. But one of the reasons that it is a lesser-known secret is most of the time they don't want you to know this, because banks will have a house cat, or, well, usually it's a house cat dummy, kind of like how they put those little owls on roofs sometimes to scare away the birds, or a scarecrow, to scare away birds from a garden. And they will have a house cat, and they'll use that to scare away the bank robbers. Except usually it's a fake cat because of federal laws. You can't have a house cat in the bank during working hours. Larry and Betty, they just happened to have their cat in there, and it wasn't going to be there all day, so it was no big deal. But so anyway, to make this long story short, they shot the cat and buried the body in the dumpster in the alley behind, and because they didn't want anyone else to know, that house cats are a deterrent to bank robbery. And when Larry and Betty came out of the loan office with their new loan to buy a 2007 Suburban, they couldn't find their cat. And all the tellers said, well, we don't know where he went. He must have been outside. We don't know. And they never did find their cat, but it turned out that kids are easier to maintain than kitty cats, which is kind of odd because I think cats are easier to maintain, but they found for their lifestyle that children are easier to maintain, and so it turned out to be a good thing that they got the loan for the Suburban because they needed the extra space. And the work pickup, converting Larry's pickup into a work pickup turned out to be really nice. They used it to haul bricks in to add an extra room to their house for all the new kids. And because, I didn't mention, they had 6 kids. They had 3 sets of twins. And they adopted a 7th one, because they thought, if you got 6, you might as well have 7. And they never did buy another cat, but and I always wondered where that cat went. And so they kind of felt snubbed. And I thought, well, maybe we don't deserve a cat because that cat wandered off, and maybe this was a sign we need to have children. So they had lots of children, and they named them, cutesy names, and they were all precocious, and they all lived happily ever after.